And you have to build this awareness. So in lead generation, this is called the top of the funnel. You have a top of the funnel, which is getting people into your funnel.
It's also
right?
called the YMCA. If you
The YMCA effect, right? So you want to have that as big as possible because you want as many people to know about what you're doing. Not everybody who knows what you're doing is going to be interested, right? And this is where you have to start filtering them out. You don't want to waste your money on people that don't want to buy from you. And this is where your strategies come from. Welcome to the Brew. I'm your host, Val and Luis. Today we're finally back in the studio.
A dangerous game we're playing.
Dangerous game, but it's only our team. We're not gonna get the risk for any of our guests or anybody else. But today I am joined by our co-host. We have Luis, another managing partner of Free Logic, and today we're just gonna be yelling at each other and talking about lead generation strategies and
pretty much actually, yeah.
Digital marketing overall. But I think today's actually a great episode because one thing I realized. Over time, doing my degrees, and also talking with a lot of students currently that are in classes, is that they actually don't teach you lead generation in a university, which is pretty sad. They teach you a lot of fundamentals about marketing, and then they have a digital marketing class when they're telling you that this is when Twitter was invented, but they don't actually teach you how to convert people into customers or sales.
I think it's because they hope that the extroverts will get it, and then the introverts are just going to work for the extroverts at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, but like... Let's be real here. If you don't understand how to use a strategy to get a customer, how are you gonna get a job? Like that's what they're looking for.
Look at accountants.
Well, that's fair, but like that's not in the marketing degrry. But
I feel like I have to do like a monthly routine where I just bag on an accountant.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. But we're not focusing on accountants today. We're focusing on marketers.
Heavens no. We would never focus an entire episode on just accountants.
I'll have my brother come in one day and I'll just be like, all right, so this is how you use QuickBooks and this is how you balance.
It's just gonna be me sitting back like this, just like.
All right, but so for today, I want to kind of go into multiple areas of lead generation because it's a terminology. Like I said, I don't think a lot of students have heard it before, and this is something that this is not just for business students. This is anybody. If you're working at a company, you should understand how people are converting customers, and also on your end, if you're a customer, you gotta know what these companies are doing to make you buy stuff. It kind of goes onto both realms of it. But to get started, what is lead generation?
That's a good question. So I mean, lead generation it's pretty self-explanatory, you know. Lead generation. It is the act of generating leads that then you hope turn into sales. Mm-hmm. So that's the big difference. There's conversions, which are a conversion is typically when how often you go from a lead to a sale. Mm-hmm. But lead generation is just how many people you can fold into either gathering information of them or having them at least check out your website in some way, shape, or form, or even like in our instance, because we do consulting and all this stuff, is lead generation could just come from, we think this person needs help with X, Y, or Z business thing. So that's a lead for us.
Yep, and I think that's very important because there's a difference between the sales world and the marketing world. Mm-hmm. Marketing's job is to create something called an MQL, which is a lead. It's a marketing qualified lead. And what you want to do is you're doing different strategies to show that someone's an intent and are interested in your business. Versus on the sales side, their job is to create something called SQLs, sales qualified lead, making sure that you can then convert it into an actual sale and convert on that opportunity. And you need to know both in a business, and most times, if it's a small business, you're responsible for both sides of that. You're not just responsible for one. You have to be able to do both. But what I want to talk about today is just like, how do you, design these lead generation systems? What tools do you have to use? And then kind of tying in stuff we talked about before when we had Jonathan Lim on, and we talked about like the buyer decision process, right? Like going from awareness to a consideration to a purchase to retention and getting them to buy again, and all the way back into an advocate, because that's really what you're supposed to be doing with lead gen systems. If you're doing them correctly, you're not just trying to say, I'm going to run a Facebook ad and then tomorrow I'm going to get a bunch of sales, all these drop shippers out here that are like the gurus that you see all over YouTube and everything.
The old, what's his name, Ty Lopez or whatever?
Oh, good old Ty Lopez too, where I just read this many books, man, and then here's your
knowledge.
It's all about knowledge, man. I mean, knowledge is important, but it's actually understanding there's a science behind how you set it up, and you have to know how you're setting it up so you can track if things are working or if they're not working. But to get started, because like I said, the concept for today's show, I want to really break it down. So if someone's in college right now, don't take your digital marketing class. Just literally just listen to this one episode. And I'm going to teach you everything you need to know for digital marketing in one episode. Yeah, not bagging on universities, but they tend to be 5 years behind, and lead gen systems have,
I would say, more than 5 years behind.
minimum 5 years.
Yeah,
like UCR is a leading institute in research, so we're about 5 years behind. But if you go to a CSU, you're about 7 to 10 years behind.
Poor, gosh. Can we talk about the old? I think what is the golden era of lead gen, back when people would go door to door.
Oh yeah, let's
selling
let's start with the OG way of how to create lead gen. And what was that vacuum's name again?
Like I'm sure there was plenty, but like that's when you would sell everything. Like, I mean,
it's called a Kirby or something like that. The crazy vacuum that like was like $15,000.
Is it the one that was just like on the ground and you had the big hose?
I don't know, but it was something that they sold door to door, and they got ridiculous amount of money, and to older people, and they were taking their money.
So I mean, back in the day, you would have. Like an example would be like I'm chilling at home in suburbia back in like the 50s and stuff like that, right? I guess. And Val would come dressed to impress, nonetheless.
All suited up
on a hot summer's day in all
top
wool.
Hat and everything.
Yeah, top hat and everything. Come suited up, and he would tell me, he would be like, "Boy, isn't it tough when you have to isn't cleaning your home, isn't dusting your appliances, isn't that just like the hardest thing you have to do?" To pretend I'm a housewife. I can put my hair down if you want. There you go. Pretend I'm a housewife for a second. And they would be like, "Isn't it tough having to clean all your appliances and having to do all this stuff?" And I'd be like, "You know what it is? It is actually very hard for me to do this and dust every day, And then you'd be like, let me show you a little something. You'd walk into my house. Most of the times, I don't even know if they would be allowed to actually go, and they would just kind of barge in. They'd walk right in. That's how you know they weren't vampires, by the way, because they just waltzed right in. And then they would just like clean one blind, but like in one pass, and I would be just really impressed, and then I'd buy something from you. You're both doing, you're both sales and marketing. Back in the day, there was no separation of the two. You marketed the product right in front of somebody, and then at the same time you sold the product right in front of somebody. The only difference nowadays is back in them days, you would have to you would sell the product, but they wouldn't get the product until like months later because logistics. Whereas nowadays that process is so quick that before you'll see an ad on Instagram a couple times, and then next thing you know, you're buying it, and this could happen. Technically, it could happen within a week, but you'll get the product a lot sooner. So like the whole overall scope is way smaller.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's interesting you brought up, like it started out back like early days. It was very kind of heavy sales oriented push. Get in front of people, show a quick demo, try to get the conversion, the sale right there on the spot, or at least get their phone number and then be able to call back later and then convert that sale. Then where it evolved over time was the mail card system. So what they used to do is they send you postcards, and this is like the start of e-commerce. And then on those cards, you're able to write off like things you like. You're able to see like product photos and stuff like that, and then be able to see what you're about to purchase. And they're tying that lead generation process now with like postcards and other mediums to get you information and things that you might care about. And then, television commercials to tie in that. So that's how they're doing lead generation process now in like the 70s and the 80s. But internet obviously changed all of that. And that's why I'm saying like it's sad how they're teaching this stuff in school.
They're still teaching it like Mad Men, like 70s and 80s. Like it's like you have to design, test, do all this like in-person stuff. And like nowadays it's all digital, entirely digital. You can do surveys, you can do testimonials, you can do client tests. Everything happens digital now. You don't have to have an entire floor of a downtown Manhattan office building dedicated simply to marketing.
And usually that way it's too slow nowadays, and you don't have enough data to support it. So now that we live in the digital era, obviously data has changed everything. Big data. And I mean, because you now are understanding consumer behaviors from start to finish, and you can create customer journeys. And that's what you have to do when you're creating a lead generation strategy. Because as I stated, it all starts with awareness. So I think what we'll do for today's show is we'll break it down. We'll start with awareness, then we'll go into consideration, we'll go into purchase, and we'll talk about things that you have to do in those processes so that you actually get people's attention. So for awareness, obviously, awareness tends to be your kind of push in front of people. This is your display ads. This is where you're going to get your Instagram ads, you're going to get your Facebook ads. You're most likely not going to see their social media platform before because you don't even know this brand exists. It's the first time they're going to get in front of your face. And they work very well because you can now on Facebook and on Google and all these things, you can target people's behaviors. A little bit scary. We've talked about it before, and we'll probably do an episode on just data privacy later down the line because we can talk about that for like 6 hours straight. But it starts with like, okay, I understand. I'm interested in this type of persona, right? This age group, they like to do these things. Let's make a nice Instagram ad or a Facebook ad, and let them be aware of what I'm trying to do. And this is, I think, the biggest mistake that companies do is they expect that to convert to the sale. This is your first touch point. This is the first time someone's ever seeing your product or service. You can't expect that to be a sale. If you expect that to be a sale, you're going to be measuring the wrong things, and if you're measuring the wrong things, you're going to get pissed off because you're like, this doesn't work. And that's what I see a lot of companies saying, like, Facebook ads don't work, or Google ads don't work. I'm like, what do you do with that? Like, you're just focusing on getting awareness out there. So what other ways do you think that companies can build out this awareness cycle?
Oh, good. I think it depends on where you are as a company, right? And I think it depends on what industry you're going into. Because nowadays, it's so easy to just, like, you need to be, I wouldn't say you need to be cash heavy, but if you're like an everyday product, I'm saying like, the example I like to bring up often is Fashion Nova, right? Loungewear, pants, all the clothing. Clothing is like really, really hard to get into. Margins aren't really there for the most part, unless you're going into like really high end stuff. But Fashion Nova isn't. They're going into low end, fast fashion kind of thing, right? Margins aren't really there, so you have to sell volume in order to make your money. And what they did in like how to get that attention, how to bring that, is just pump tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into advertisements.
Influencer advertising specifically.
Yeah, specifically that. And just getting people in that way. And I think that's nowadays is the most genius way to do it because there's so many different levels of influencer. You have like, I mean, doesn't like a nano influencer exist now where it's like someone who's like 1,000 to 10,000 or something like that?
Let me be the Gary V. Like he literally, Gary V's whole thing, like, you want to win in 2021? Invest in influencers. Like if I had $1 million, I'd just throw it into influencers. And I agree with that because you have every person in the world has attention from somebody, and that attention has more value than you sending $1 million of ads to somebody because you're having somebody at least talk on your behalf, and then you just treat them well. So influencers, that huge. Fashion Nova just dominated that. That's what they got the Cardi B's and everybody, and they were just like, invest, and they didn't break even for a long time. But then they started spending less money on influencer marketing, where their margin then skyrocketed. But another interesting one's Red Bull. So I don't know if you know how Red Bull skyrocketed in Europe. The way that they did, there was already other energy drinks there, and I sent you this article. What they did was they got all the cans they already had people drink. They crushed them up and just filled up trash cans with Red Bull. So when you're walking around, it's a good guerrilla tactic. As people are walking around different areas, they were just like Red Bull was stacked up in all the garbage cans. So immediately in the back of your mind, you're going to be aware, like, what is Red Bull? I'm curious about what this thing is, and it starts them on that journey. You have something that has to be like, that might be good for me. Like I have this problem. I'm problem identification, and now I'm aware of something that can potentially solve it. I drink a lot of coffee, and maybe I'll try some Red Bull. I don't think that's a better alternative, but no,
it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope, man. I think can I speak for the room here when I say we've all at some point had an energy drink addiction? Am I right? in thinking that? There's like 20 people in this room right now, by the way, but it's okay. They're all wearing masks.
4. Calm down. We are following all rules.
Yeah, man, I remember I had my energy drink addiction. I still, when I go to the gas station, I look at the cans and I go, oh, you son of a... and it's like, I want to buy one, but I never do. I still get this sometimes. Sometimes I'll get the sugar-free one. Seasonal flavors?
Yeah, does like a watermelon one.
No, see, that's I don't touch it.
We don't talk about those things.
I don't touch
Red Bull or Red Bull?
Because then I'll taste it and I'll go, this is delicious. And I'm back. No, yeah, I think it's an interesting way to go about it. But yeah, it's it's not just display ads. It's not just advertisements. It's not a billboard. It's not just a billboard. You know.
Please stop investing into billboards.
If you're gonna look, if you're going to, I'm talking specifically to the law office at this point. If you're going to invest in a billboard, at least don't invest in like the cheapest billboard. You know, or
get a digital one. Like get a cool one you can animate.
Yeah,
and
get
stuff.
a cool one. Can you animate those billboards?
You can.
Can you?
There's certain ones you can do the pixel animations on them.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. You get a digital billboard where you know, because if there's a digital billboard, there's a lot of traffic, and there's a lot of traffic. At least you're getting eyes on you, and you're paying less money because it cycles through, and it's not just one stationary thing. But do that. But just do that, and don't buy a whole billboard and try to be cool and stuff like that. So yeah, you have influencer marketing, you have display ads, you have billboards, physical print advertisements. And then you also have these kind of guerrilla tactics. And you know, when you think of like back in the day, when you would have and this happens a lot in art, these kind of guerrilla advertising where you get your brand out there. The thing that comes to my mind is like, you know, you think Banksy, where he is not just this person, or he or she, I don't know, maybe it's a girl. They are not this person who is who's like, oh yeah, like these are my art pieces. I've been spray painting all this stuff. Like, no, like they go guerrilla tactic, boom, you put it out there, and people are like, oh, who? And then the mystery of it starts to build up. Who is this person? I need to buy this piece. I need to do all this stuff. There's a bunch of ways to go about it to get initial interest. But I think what a lot of people don't do enough, and you touch on a little bit, is they don't spend enough money on just getting people used to seeing a logo or a brand. Yep. They, instead of just being like, here's what we do, here's how we do it, they immediately go into a sales pitch. If you've ever worked in sales, you know that there is a time for explaining and a time for closing.
Yep.
And it is up to you as a salesperson to know how to balance that, to engage at a person and say, how much do I need to explain, and how much do I need to be selling a product? More often than not, and people that are in sales know this, more often than not, 95% of the time, you are explaining a product.
Yep.
And then 5% of the time, you're selling the product. You look at any infomercial. This is a tried and true method. You go, here's what it does, here's how it does it, here's all the cool things you could do with it in your own life, and then at the end, $19.99 plus shipping and handling. But wait, there's more. You get another one,
and you get
yeah,
two.
Exactly. It's this tried and true method, but like for some reason in digital marketing, and I think this is one thing that they don't teach in school, is that should still be the blueprint.
Yeah.
For the most part, because people don't want to look like,
they don't want to be sold to, but they want to buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you look at, like, if you have a display ad right now and your display ad has the price of your product in it, immediately take that down, because people don't want that.
Unless that is the selling, like, different.
If it's like dirt cheap.
Yeah, if you're trying to differentiate based off that and that's your entire strategy, yeah, sure, have it. But for the most times, yeah, you should be focused on problem solving.
Yep.
What issue does your customer have? How can I make them aware that what I have can solve that, and then drive them to a source where now I can learn more about it, and I can kind of push them to the next phase of the strategy, which is consideration. But one more thing for awareness, like we brought this up before. There's a book called Contagious, and I love that book because it does talk.
Jonah Berger or whatever his name is?
Yeah, Jonah Berger, Why Things Catch On. And the one, let me say Contagious, Why Things Catch On. I'm not gonna say Contagious. We're in a bad era for me to say Contagious by itself. But that book, one thing that's interesting in there, they were talking about a blender company, and the way that they got awareness is like, how do you make awareness if you're a blender, right? There's blenders everywhere, but how do you create this awareness? So what they did was, their blender was supposedly the best blender that can work on anything. So they literally put marbles in there. They're putting like the craziest stuff in there, and their YouTube videos went all viral, because that's a good tactic as well for creating awareness. But you have to do things that are abnormal. Like, that was their whole approach, is just do these things that are like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Yeah.
But it was entertaining. It was interesting. I don't watch those videos from blenders, but it's cool to watch the concept. I'm like, damn, if I really need a good blender,
that's the one to get.
That's in the back of my mind.
Yeah, if I ever need to blend some marbles, that's the one I'm gonna go for.
Or phones or whatever you gotta do with it. But yeah, that's awareness for you. That's awareness for you, folks. So, and in school, like, they're gonna teach you digital marketing as you do this. No, that's awareness. Focus on those aspects. Now, yeah, there you go. Like, yeah, we got comments off stage. We're not gonna go into this.
That is a good. That is a good one. And like, if you bring up a good one, I always forget about flex tape or flexi or whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah, flex tape.
Flex tape. the genius.
Mhm.
Like the fact that the dude's just like slapping tubs of water that are that are pouring out with water and being like, no, this work. Because like that, yeah, with tape, he's showing. You look at those. You look at an infomercial. The very last 2 minutes of the infomercial, that's the part where they tell you the price. And at that point, you're like, give me all of your tape.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a boat that I've actually been meaning to saw in half and then retape. I've actually been thinking about it for some time now.
Yeah. So, I mean, that builds really strong awareness. And you have to build this awareness. So, in lead generation, this is called the top of the funnel. You have a top of the funnel, which is getting people into your funnel.
It's also
right?
called the YMCA. If you
The YMCA effect, right? So, you want to have that as big as possible because you want as many people to know about what you're doing. Not everybody who knows what you're doing is going to be interested, right? And this is where you have to start filtering them out. You don't want to waste your money on people that don't want to buy from you. And this is where your strategy comes from. So the next step is your consideration, right? Mm-hmm. So your consideration phase is, as we brought up before, when you make a product or service, most likely, unless you have a novel product or service, somebody else has another product or service that is competing with you in one way, shape, or form.
Yes.
And your job is to either differentiate and show how you're completely different or so much better, or whatever, or price point or whatever. You want to get away, and that's the same thing with infomercials, right? The ending part. To do that consideration phase, you have to make sure that when somebody's researching you online or finding information, you are the one that they find. Mm-hmm. So this is where like search engine optimization strategies come in. So for those that don't know what SEO is, search engine optimization, SEO is when you go into Google, any search engine, and you type in a question, a phrase, and then you notice how companies populate based off answering those questions. Well, there's methodologies behind how you can rank. You can run ads. The top usually 4 are advertisements, so those are irrelevant in this case.
And the bottom 2 also.
And the bottom 2 as well. And we'll talk about that. That's called SEM. That's important in the consideration phase as well. But you should really invest into building this SEO. So if someone searches for a problem they have, they realize that like, I need help creating a lead generation strategy, right? So first, Free Logic would be able to run some advertisements on the awareness of like what we do and how we can help some business out. And then when they go onto Google and search out, okay, I need lead generation strategies in a local market area, they should also be able to find the business, right? That is super important because now I'm stacking it up against the competitors and making that purchase decision. I want to make sure like, is this the right fit for me? Is there any other pieces aside from like search engine optimization? I did bring up SEM and I can let you take the reins on that. There are a couple other as well, like PR, which I'll talk about, to build this consideration and make people have more of an intent to purchase.
No, I think that's when you get into the sort of let's look at it like this. Well, let's try to build this funnel in a way that is very much like let's go with like a display ad kind of thing. The ad that you see on your social media or sometimes even emails, the ads that you see, that is your attention, right? Mm-hmm. That's them trying to get your attention and click on and click through. You click on that. That then is the consideration when you're inside of this actual curated page, right?
Yep.
And what ends up happening a lot of the times is you've seen the advertisement. That's them explaining it to you. Then when you click inside of the ad, it switches. Yep. So instead of it being, hey, look at all these cool things it can do, now inside of the ad, it switches to like very much so how this benefits you. You think testimonials, reviews, anything
social proof.
Exactly, social proof. Anything that shows them that other people have used this thing and that they are finding something that's like life changing about it, right? Mm-hmm. Like I've been looking up Standing Desk, and I'm probably gonna get Autonomous or something like that. I think is the brand. Because it's really cheap, and
I don't know Standing Desk.
Yeah,
so I can't help you there.
It's cheap, and then also but it's good, right? And it has like a bunch of 5-star reviews and all this blah 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 blah. But the way they work is like you see an ad that's an influencer.
Yep.
They say, "Look, man, this desk is rad. Check this thing out." You click through their ad. Now you're landing on a page that says, "Hey, isn't this desk really rad? Here's other people that thought it's rad, and at the same time, here's how we stack up against our competitors."
Yep.
And that's an important piece there.
Yep.
Because then it makes people think a lot of the times you should not compare yourself to your competitors within your advertisements or within your funnels. That's so wrong, because
depending on what it is, though, like they're
bad.
Well, not even that. There's a level of like non-association though. Like, and I'll talk about that in a second. So,
but I'm saying for product.
Yeah, for product, for the most part, yes.
Yeah.
As long as you're not trying to create a new category, but yes.
Yeah. So for product, you have this thing. Then it was like, okay. For them, it's price differentiation. So it shows like, here's our desk. Here's the height ranges that it ranges from. Here's like 26 inches up to like, I don't know, I think it was like 56 inches, some ridiculous range of height adjustment. And it's like, here's the competitors. Maybe they have like 2 inches less than this or 2 inches more than that. But then you look at the price, and then it's like, they very clearly, this is very a design in a specific way, where as you're scrolling down, you see the brands, you see the features, and then at the very bottom, you have the price. And they're not shy about being like, wow, look at this price, because they literally have like, you know, like a little halo circle around it and all that stuff. It's like, you can pay $1,200, $2,000, $2,500 for a desk, or you can pay either I think like $350 for just the legs that you can put your own desk on, or you can pay like $500 and it comes with the desk and everything. So it's very clear being like, hey, our price differentiation, or our differentiating factor here is just the price. We do all the same things, we have all the same kind of motors, we do all the same kind of stuff, except we cost half the price of even the next competitor that's viable to us, you know. And I think that I think is a portion of the consideration. You haven't gone into putting it in your cart, you haven't done anything like that, but they're still pitching it to you, right? They're going from, hey, here's this thing, check out this brand, isn't it cool? To now it's like, oh, you are actually considering this brand. Okay, now let's show you how we stack up against the competition and why we are better. Why this is the choice for you. X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3 million different reasons why. And then I think that's a really good example of consideration. It's like, now they're pushing it really heavy. They're leaning heavy into why you need this thing.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think that actually ties into something is when you run advertisements, you should have different layers of advertising. It's a journey, like I stated. So like, let's say your first advertisements, here's what we do, here's a cool thing. And you're just driving them to your website, not a landing page or anything, just your website. Just check me out, learn about me, awareness, blah, 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 blah. And just all informational. Now, once they've gone to your website, you can set up a parameter, a metric, and this is exactly how they get you. Let's say you've gone to, fitness brands do this all the time. For like, let's say that you want to get like a supplement or anything like that. They purposely see what pages you go onto on their page, and then based off of that, you're going to get Facebook ads and Instagram ads on a consistent basis, directly tying into why you need to get this. Like, I think was it Huel or whatever, that company that
I get so much Huel.
Yeah, they're a robust strategy, and they're spending a lot of ad spend on this. But what they do is, let's say that you saw the first ad and you're like, this is cool, meal replacement. I don't really know what this is yet. Let me click on it. Let's go to the website. I'm playing around the website, I'm going to different pages. This is where the advertiser's job is to set up parameters and seeing, okay, like if they go to this page, they're bucket into this category of a customer. If they go to this page, they're this level. And you don't want to push somebody who's not ready to even be considering anything too early. So you want to see like, okay, maybe this person just needs a little bit more awareness. This person is now ready to kind of move into the next stage of consideration. And then you can set up on Facebook and on Google something called retargeting parameters, which are so powerful. And you can say that if somebody went to this page, they get this advertisement. So now you can specifically talk to people. And that's the most powerful thing. It's like, how did you know I wanted this? Well, because you told me that you wanted it because you already checked it out. And then, now you go to landing page. Now you're going to learn more about and the landing page strategy is important. When you build something called a landing page is not connected to your website. There's no direct way of getting to your website. It is specific messaging to only a product or service that you're trying to do from start to the bottom. And there's only one call to action meaning one intent. So whether they're going to, free consultation, buy now for this discounted price, whatever it is, right? That's how you message it across. And then, you're doing that journey. You're walking them through like, this is your problem. Here's the solution we're solving to your problem. Here's the competitors that exist out there. And this is how much we're so much better, how much we're differentiating from them. And close out deal. Today only, you get a 10% off, whatever, if you want to make that little extra push. But you don't even need to do that. You just need to kind of push it down to that level. Now you built really strong consideration, but you do also want to have behind the scenes like SEO happening, stuff like PR happening, right? PR is a social proof factor where it's like, oh, you saw it was featured on this company, this company, this company. They must know what they're doing. It's featured on Forbes. Forbes has a lot of credibility behind them. So you're taking Forbes' credibility and pushing it directly into your brand. This is what major tech companies do all the time. In early stages to make a product, man, you don't trust it.
Yeah, not at all.
Like, not at all. If you're like saying like this is the latest edge technology for you, you're like, says who?
I mean, how much social proof did you need before you trusted Airbnb?
A good amount. I was just like,
even at the beginning, people were like, oh, that's really strange. It's like, why am I going to go live in someone's house for, or someone's apartment for like a weekend?
That's the start of a Saw movie, man.
Exactly. Yeah. People were like, this is how I get murdered. And
Same with Uber, same concept.
Yeah, same exact concept. But then you have more people being like, oh, here's where it's featured on this, it's featured on that, it's featured on Wirecutter or whatever TripAdvisor for on Airbnb's side. It's like, and the more you kind of people see these things, being like, oh, this is a thing actually. People are doing this, people are using this. Then you start using it yourself.
Yep, that social proof is so important. If you don't have testimonials, if you don't have Google reviews, if you don't have Yelp reviews, if you don't have that behind that, start focusing on that before you focus on lead generation strategies. It is so hard to convert sales in any factor if you don't have something behind you to say like, this works.
Yeah. Or
some kind of validation from a PR outlet that says like, this is what they're doing and this is amazing, right? And you're taking their brand with you. Because consideration, like, consumers in a lot of ways are, I'm not going to say consumers are dumb, that's a bad way of putting it, but like consumers don't think through like, oh, that actually is a good thing for me. They're looking through as who else is justifying to me that this is good.
Yep.
And for a lot of people, there are consumers out there that actually hate that. Like if other people want it, then they don't want it. Like anti-brands kind of philosophy, but majority of consumers want to see that somebody else has tried it before, has a successful reaction to it, whether it be for the service, seeing positive gains out of it, or from a product that actually did what it was intended to do and people liked it. And then after that, it's easy to cycle that through. You can really leverage that into the next phase, which is going to be purchase. And in purchase, this is all about your website experience, 100%. This is unfortunately where I think small businesses suffer the most, is you can have this start of the funnel like fantastic. You have a bunch of customers. You have a construction company, for example. You have a bunch of customers and all these kinds of things. You have a brand name. People talk about you in the local markets, but you're trying to expand to a new market. You're not going to be able to if your website doesn't articulate in a way and have a fluid process to get people from the start to purchase without having to suffer through like, which page do I click on? Which buttons do I click on? That user experience has to be done correctly.
Yep.
And if you don't do that part correctly and your website's not attractive,
you can hire us.
You can hire us, definitely. More specifically, Nick Hill. But on top of that, the fundamental part of that is it turns people off, and especially younger generations. We are way too judgmental, man. Like it is bad. Like the newer generations even more. Like more and more judgmental because you're so spoiled with what you see from these new platforms, these new games. Like back in the OG days when we're playing like PlayStation 1 and like like GameCube and stuff like that. Those were the graphics. I was all about it, man. I could play Super Smash Bros on that, and then now I see the new ones and I'm like, cool graphics, but I don't care, man. I want the original gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I look at like a real quick side tangent here is like I remember back when like Silent Hill came out for the PS1, and I was like so terrified of that game because it looked so realistic. And now you look at like the new RE8, right? Yeah. Village, the RE8 trailer with like the vampire chick, and it's just like it looks so real. Like yes, people are very much like given way too much good content now, so they're way more particular about how something looks. I think a little bit to a fault, because small businesses their turnaround time for a website is really slow.
Yep.
So instead of, let's say, helping out the established mom and pop that's been chilling for, I don't know, been in business since the 70s or 80s, you go to the newer people who have like a newer website because that's their first website. And the first website, they're going to do it modern.
Yep.
But two sides to every coin.
Yep.
Businesses have to keep up with the times, have to stay modern and stay current. So, you have this you have these markets that are pushing people into being more efficient.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, customers will always give up their privacy rights, all these things for convenience, right? So
100%.
you want it to be your web platform to get that purchase to happen. You want it to be as fluid as possible, as simple as possible. And sometimes your business might require them to actually call you and you schedule offline, and that's fine. But you have to think through that process, right? How do I make it as easy as possible to have that conversation, to convert a sale, for them to pay for it? And I hear this all the time for like more old school business owners. I don't want to use these credit card processing because I have to do the fee of like 2.7%. I want checks, or I want like a Zelle payment, whatever. I'm like, so you're okay? You're rather sacrifice the 2.7%, the convenience fee that they have to do for banking transfers anyways, because you will make a little bit more money, but you don't care about the volume of customers you'd be getting if your system was a lot more efficient, cleaner. Like, I'd rather pay right now than me having to like go on my phone, like, all right, I need to go to Chase. I got to go to my Zelle.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to send it over to this person. Oh, what was your email again? Oh, wait, I have to wait like a day until I get that email. The sale's not going to happen anymore.
No, definitely
It
not.
has to happen right when that customer wants to buy
It has to
that.
be frictionless.
Yeah, 100%.
Entirely frictionless. One of the reasons why, one of the reasons why websites or web browsers started saving your credit card information, where all you do now is you click on the enter card number and it auto populates all your cards that you have, and you go, yep, there's mine. And then it's like, okay, what's your 3-digit or your 4-digit security code? And then you go bleep bloop blah bloop bleep bloop bleep, and then you pay. That's it. Less friction is just the best way you can go about it. I mean, it's one of the reasons why you have like Shopify Pay, or Shop Pay, I think is what they call it now, where you log in and it just done. You literally you log in.
Goes your Google account.
Exactly. You log in through either Google account or your Shopify account, and then you just are done. Or Affirm, which is like a lot of websites are using Affirm, where you just you click OK and it links you to your phone number, and then your phone number just everything gets done quickly.
It's a monthly payment on Affirm too, so you don't have to pay it all up front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seamless.
Yeah, it's seamless. It's yeah. I mean, these kinds of things you have to think as a consumer, like, yeah, it's most likely going to make you spend more money. So just be cautious of your own budgets. Yeah. But as a business, if you don't have these things, understand that your competitors probably do. And that's the case, especially right now, unfortunately, with COVID, for a lot of restaurants. And we talked about this before. Like, now that you're going to like the gig economy and you have all these other companies doing your delivery for you, they're taking a margin off you. So they're saying 30% for every single delivery, right? That's insane if you scale your volume, because now you're giving 30% off as you grow your business. So if you're now expanding your sales to 100,000, you're giving them $30,000 versus a flat fee, which you can do if you just knew what to integrate into your website, and then just have a direct POS system and just have one delivery person on your team deliver the product if you're not doing a certain volume. So these are things that I like. There's a disconnect, and once again, like, I really wish they were teaching this stuff more in school, because as people graduate, I know a lot of students that do business school because they want to help their mom and dads with their business, right? If you don't learn these fundamentals and you just learn business, that's great, but you're still going to be behind, like, unfortunately, because you're not understanding how to create this pipeline in the digital world and how to scale your business. And you have to learn how to do that, because bigger companies are doing it. They're going to keep crushing down on you if you don't push back up.
Yeah, I don't think it's a mystery on my feelings towards the not necessarily the gig economy. I think the gig economy is fantastic, but the way that the workers of the gig economy are getting taken advantage of by you have a million different gig economy things, but the big players.
Yep.
Even more so, you talk about getting on a tangent. Did you see that Instacart fired all of their pro-union employees?
No, I didn't see that, but I'm not shocked.
Yeah, so Instacart fired recently, I think this last week, they fired all of their pro-union employees because I guess there was like an Instacart union starting that was, that was going to help them with like benefits and stuff like that. They were just like, nah, just straight up fire them, which doesn't make, the fact that it's happening to this extent, again, is like, makes no sense to me, because now you have, like, do they forget that there are still like union busting laws that prevent this kind of stuff from happening, like, outright?
They can get around it because of California at will employment.
This is nationwide.
Oh, they did it nationwide?
Yeah,
okay, that's different. I can see that happening in California. I can't see that happening in other states. Like, that is going to cause a lawsuit. But yeah, I mean, this kind of goes into our point. I mean, watch a previous one on like policy making and stuff like that. And this ties into lead generation. This ties into all these things. And that's why in business you have to understand everything that's going on, not just what you're doing. Yeah. Because they all have impact. Because like, for a business, you suffer, right? If you're a small business, you suffer from some of these companies, and then as an employee of these gig economy companies as well, these major ones, you also can suffer. Yeah,
I think to your point, here's the thing. So here's, I'm speaking to the small business folk at this point. You have your Uber Eats, your DoorDash, your Instacarts. Let's just look at those three, because I think those are the ones that are connected directly to like restaurants and these kind of things, right? And like small mom and pop grocery stores and delis and all this. Put aside the fact that you're paying them 30%, 25%, 20%, whatever it was, up to 40%. Yeah. Forget that. Put that to the side for a second. Sure, you're losing money, but you're getting more volume theoretically. Put that to the side. These companies said out loud that if Prop 22 had passed, they were gonna leave. So if you are a store in the middle of a pandemic, think about it like this: if you are a restaurant who is surviving solely off of DoorDash or Uber Eats, and the fact that these things are helping you here in California, and Prop 22 had passed, and you didn't have a backup, you're screwed, like royally screwed, because now people would have no way of finding you unless they were on your website. But oh wait, you didn't integrate your website in a way that was made for online
You might
orders.
not even have a website.
Exactly, because you were like, oh, I'll just put it on Uber Eats, I'll just put it on DoorDash, I'll put it on Deliveroo or whatever that European one is. I'll put it on all these other ones because that's what everyone else is doing, so I'm gonna do that. If it would happen, it'd be over. You'd have to close your doors, because then now you would have to either one, build a website, and then build an online presence, do all this stuff that would just end up costing too much money at that time. And because you are not making money, because you're not selling stuff, there's no way you can float that expense. So think about it like that. It's like when people say like, oh, why would I invest in having my own ordering system on my website?
Oh, it cost me $5,000, $10,000, blah blah blah. Yeah.
You think like these are companies that you are paying to use their product that have said outright, if legislation is put in place that would cause them to lose money or have to pay people a wage that makes sense for the work that they're doing, they would just flat out stop. They would stop working. Think about it like that. These companies are not they are not here because they like small business. They're here because small business is paying them a metric
revenues,
buttload of money, and also they don't have to pay any of their workers unless they're like developers. Really anything. They're independent contractors, so it's like they're not whatever. The people that are actually making the money, they're paying them like what? I think Uber just lowered them. Who was it? Lyft lowered their hourly pay from $20 to $9. Did you hear about that?
No, I did not.
They lowered the payment that you would get as a driver. It went from $20. Oh, it was Uber. This is Uber. It went from $20 to $9, right? And then Lyft implemented this new thing to where, let's say me and you are Lyft drivers, right? And we're in the same super dense populated area. Let's say we're the only two for some reason. We're the only two, but there's always like 10 rides that need to happen. So we usually split them, 50-50, because we do the rides. Lyft instituted this new thing to where I make 10 or 10% less than you, but they send me more rides. So it's basically you are paying them to use their service so they can give you more things. So the algorithm says, ooh, this person's willing to take a 10% pay cut so that they can get more rides pinged to them directly. Like all these kind of things are happening in the background, and people just don't care for some reason. But again, at this point, I'm preaching about how shitty freaking Uber and Lyft is again. But I still use them because they're convenient and I need them sometimes.
I mean, like the arguments, and obviously we're not going to go into that today. It's just that like
But I'm saying for the online platforms, like build them.
Yeah, it's better to build it on your own versus relying on a company for a couple of facets, because like the argument then for like all these gig economy companies is like, well, if you're going to give them benefits, it's going to increase the cost and put it back on the consumer. Well, once again, if you have your own platform, you would resolve this entire thing and you have your own. You can still use them as another source of entry point into your business, but don't rely on them. For example, like one of the business I love is Pizza Port in Carlsbad, and they have a website platform. They have a pretty good system to purchase product. You can buy pizzas, you can do everything. But then you can also find it on, I don't remember if it's Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever, but you can also purchase it on there as well, right? But I would rather buy it right from the company. And if you're messaging it to people and putting, like, once again, this lead generation pipeline and saying you can order on our website, check it out today, buy from us today, and explaining to people why they should be buying from your business versus these platforms, because it gives more money to them. Consumers also do care about businesses, and we want to support small businesses. And it's gone to this weird skew of like, support small businesses but buy it on Uber Eats. It's like, no, you're supporting Uber, you're not supporting the small business as much.
So I have one of my charge cards that I have gives me a $15 monthly Uber credit. I can use it for both rides or eats, right? And yesterday I was like, hey, let's order sushi, because we haven't used that $15 credit. So we bought sushi yesterday, and we went to go pick it up because we're like, I don't want to pay for like the delivery fee and all this stuff. So we go pick it up, and I pick up the food, I put it in the car, and I get a notification, I get a little ping from my Uber Eats, and I open it up, and it says, "Thank you for supporting small business." I literally just like, my eyes could not have rolled further back into my brain. It's like, no, it's like I looked online, and unfortunately, Hello Sushi does not have an online ordering platform on their website. But hey, they do have one on your platform, so that's why I went with it. It was the only place to order the sushi from. Yeah, man, it's idiotic. I think, to me, like, you can have it both ways, and I think that's something that businesses don't think about. It's like, you can be on Uber Eats, you can be on DoorDash, you can be on all these platforms, but have your own as well.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, if you get people who are still, let's say you had, at this point, you have 100% of people going and ordering from DoorDash or Uber Eats, right? That's anywhere from, how much does Uber Eats charge companies? I would say probably 32.
I think
30 as well.
it's about 30%. Yeah.
Let's just say it's 30 on average. Both these places are charging 30% on average for a transaction, right? Whereas even if you had let's say 100% of your business coming from that right now, and you'll get a few people coming in straight to the door and then waiting outside, but I doubt that. Now let's say you develop your own platform and you start kind of pushing that out, like order online, do this kind of stuff. You have like a little tiny push for the local market. And let's say that splits open now. So now you have, let's say, even 80% goes here, but 20% goes here. That 20%, it's still, with far less money you're actually losing, is worth it.
Yep.
In my opinion, at least.
It's a marginal gain.
Exactly.
30% on your margin is insane.
Let's say, I mean, as weekly sushi place, what are they making? Probably like 50 grand on an average month.
Probably less right now, but yeah.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like on an average month, probably like 50 grand. Let's look at it like that. If 100% of that 50 grand was coming from Uber Eats and DoorDash, that's not a small sum of money.
Nope.
That's being lost on that. You know, that's
15K.
That's a sizable amount of money gone. Now let's split that. Let's say it's 80-20. Even if you get 5 grand back in your pocket, why wouldn't you do that? Like, theoretically speaking, the platform that you had someone develop for you pays for itself in a month.
Yep.
Like, just like that. As long as you can get the marketing out there that you can now order online on your own website, give it 3 months, and now you're making a profit on that platform. You know, it's this. Well, that's with the 50K kind of spent here. But I'm saying, like, if you're making less, it would take maybe 6 months. It would take maybe a year. But what I'm saying is, eventually speaking, the platform will pay for itself, and you're going to start making money off the platform. You can do both, and I think that right now, because stuff's going to start opening up again, people are still going to be kind of cautious. Is open up your own platform, because why not do it right now when you can? And once people are inside your store, once people can go visit your store inside and go eat inside and do all this and do all that, you can push it on them. Be like, hey, you know, you can order this on our website. And if you tell them that, and if they're going there, next time they're feeling lazy and they just want to chill back on the couch and watch Hell's Kitchen like I did yesterday, they can do that. They can be like, I don't really feel like going to the restaurant and sitting down. I'm just going to order it and have it picked up.
So to go into your point, and how I'm going to pull this entire tangent back into
I wouldn't say it's a tangent.
No, hold on. It'll make sense. Watch. All right, so we have this whole lead generation. We talked about awareness. We talked about consideration, and we're right now on purchase. And then we went on this not necessarily tangent, but kind of tangent about the gig economy and how as a business you have to build your own platform. But let me put it all together. If you have your own platform and you have your own system to purchase, now what you can do with data is, if you bought sushi, I know what sushi you bought. Now, next week, on the same date, when I know that you're about to you're maybe on a sushi website or whatever, like, right? And you're just checking out stuff, and I know what time you're doing that at. Let's say it's always at 5 p.m. and I'm just checking this out. You can send an advertisement to them on Instagram and on Facebook of a really nice photo, like a really juicy video or something like that of sushi, when they're like, oh man, what am I going to eat tonight? Boom. Now it goes back to your platform. Now you can convert that sale. You can't do that with Uber Eats. You cannot do that Deliveroo. You can't do that with these platforms, because you're not driving them to a simpler like source. And I wouldn't do that either. You're wasting ad spend on giving it to a platform, because they're supposed to be doing the marketing on your behalf. Think about that, right? You can now increase the reach of your business, the margin of your business, getting retention for your customer base. You also get their emails. By having emails, super important, because one thing in a lead generation strategy that we talked about is you have your entry points, which is your awareness and your consideration, the entry points in there. Your consideration, you have to have a retargeting metric or something to like get them back into that consideration phase and understanding your business as many times as possible. Then you have your purchase point. Your purchase point might not always work. And if it doesn't work, that's where you have to do something called nurture. Nurture campaign is for the retention aspect of your business and for the advocacy aspect of your business. So retention is how often can a customer come back and purchase from you. That's the best metric of success. If let's say 40% of your customers purchase from you every month, you can now create a model and actually see how much money you're going to make by getting every new customer you get.
And that's an important thing, is the cost of actually acquiring a customer and the lifetime cost of a customer. These are two really important metrics.
Massive. And if you can't calculate this out, reach out to us. Honestly, I'm happy to even send a spreadsheet. I'm planning on having a free spreadsheet for anybody to be able to calculate this. You need to know this as a business. And then you have advocacy, which is like they love your brand. They're going to talk about your brand. They're going to do the marketing on your behalf, and you want to get as many people there as possible. But let's say that they did not buy from your website. But let's say that you have your own purchase system, all these things. They can fill out their email information but never click on buy. You have their email now. And what you can do with that email is set up an email drip campaign. Email is the best format of marketing you can possibly do. And you can send them specific curated messages about like success stories or how-to videos or like value like added stuff or like offer deals or whatever. You can do that with emails. Once again, you cannot do this with these external platforms that you might be using. Nope. You have this control in your brand, and you can make the consistent messaging. You know their journey. You know that person like this kind of sushi. So imagine sending them an email saying that like, we appreciate your business. We blah, 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 blah. By the way, your favorite sushi is on deal today. Only blah, blah, blah for this amount of time. Come check it out today. That is powerful. They're going to remember your brand as well.
My sushi buying trigger is a hair thin. I need minimal push.
Honestly, I really want sushi right
exactly,
now.
Yeah. I need minimal. Joe Sushi, I think, is the way you talk. We can call him real quick. I need minimal to push me into sushi. I started getting in the morning. I woke up and I just had a hankering for sushi, and then I told Alyssa, I was like, we're eating sushi today. It wasn't even like a, hey, do you want sushi? Because I know that we're the same human.
Yep.
So I was like, we're both gonna eat sushi today. But if there was a brand, like if Hello Sushi, shout out to Hello Sushi in Redlands, by the way. If Hello Sushi was like, send me an email that was like, oh, hey, check it out. Like we have like, you know, that tasty Cajun roll that you like so much, or this Baja roll you like you can get that right now, maybe like 10% off, 5% off, or buy one, get one 50% off, or something like that. That makes sense for them. I would, if they were to send me that like once a week, I would eat there once a week. Just because they'd be like, I have that coupon. I'm going to at least get 2 rolls from them if that's the case. One of my favorite pizzas, if not my favorite pizza in the area, Strongman's Pizza, they have an online ordering platform. Thank goodness. It's not like, their website is not pretty. It's not pretty at all.
It works.
But it works. It lets me order food and it gets either to my house or it's ready for me to pick up. Again, not pretty, but it works really well. And they have an email campaign. They have the drip campaign. So what they do is they'll email you and be like, hey, thank you for making your purchase. We appreciate your loyalty with the brand. Just letting you know, like, you know, you're part of the loyalty program, you get X, Y, and Z benefits. And then you order 2 or 3 more pizzas, and it's like, oh, we have a special gift card for you. And then you click on the gift card, it's like $5 off your next pizza with like a $10 purchase, something like that.
Yep.
Like, these are the things that make me keep buying Strongman's Pizza, which keep it going. You know, I'm going to keep buying Strongman's because I'm going to keep being a part of the loyalty program. I'm going to keep getting the emails, and I'm going to keep getting the discount codes. That's the disconnect that small businesses really don't get, is like, you have a lot of power. People like to shop small.
Yep.
Believe it or not. People like to be able to walk into a place and see that's the owner, or that's like the owner's son or daughter, or, you know, something like that. They enjoy that. When you go to like a Mickey D's, or you go to Del Taco or Baker's or whatever it is,
it's cheap, man.
you go there because it's cheap, and you go there because it's quick.
Yep. And you know it exists. You know it's on every single corner block. Like,
exactly.
It's easy for you.
And I don't know. I think that's going to be the next big thing. You talk about, like, Gary Vee says influencer marketing is going to be the next big thing, as far as, I think for product. Yes, agree with you 100%. But I think for small business, medium to small business, 2021 should be a time for developing your own online platform.
Yep.
Because the only negative, if you want to look at a negative, is just the cost of development.
And you also can write that off for your taxes.
You can. These are tax write-offs. You can write that development cost off. So really, there's not much of a negative here. And like, some people are like, oh, why would I do that when I have this other platform? Like, that other platform could disappear tomorrow. It's a business. It's not a lighthouse. You know, it's not like a public good that everybody gets because they're born here, or because they're in the vicinity of it. It is not a public good. It is a privately owned. Oh, not. I don't think they're privately owned anymore.
Yeah.
But it is a business that exists
Mhm.
and that can disappear tomorrow.
Mhm.
So why are you going to put all your eggs in that basket? Put some eggs in your own basket.
Mhm.
You know, why are you just gonna hey here you know what, matter of fact, here's my wallet, here's everything that I have. Keep some for yourself.
Yep.
Develop your own platform.
Yep, 100%. And I think one really important thing that you brought up, which is like really focusing like on your sushi habits and stuff like that. A lot of people don't understand that the acquisition cost to get a new customer versus just retaining an existing customer is 10%. So whatever you would spend to get a new customer to your business, that same cost, take 10% of that, 1/10 of that is how much it would cost you to just retain your existing customer. And you have to invest into that as well. People don't invest into keeping and nurturing them and getting them to come back. That's so important. So for example, like one company, I'm wearing the hat, Jabez. Like the way that we were able to grow that business was exactly what we talked about here. Obviously, I'm not going to go to that strategy because I want to keep that because that's something we do for barbershops. And if you're a barbershop and need help with that, let us know. But we built this entire lead gen process, right? We built that awareness. It took a while. It was not quick. After we built that, we started building out consideration stages. We made their SEO. Anybody who goes online and searches barbershop in Riverside, you're going to find it like that. These stages we were building out. We made a website that you can book online. When COVID hit, everybody was booking from them and nobody else because you can't book online in these other places, and other places didn't really have a contact way, like how to contact them. So people were going to JBez, and on their website we had notifications when the shop was open, when it was closed, when we have restrictions with COVID, what we're doing, how we're keeping it sanitary. That built that trust. Now we're focusing on these consideration and these advocacy stages. We've organically done that just from the good service to the guys at the shop do. But we're now also focusing on email campaigns. We're going to be focusing on advertising campaigns. That's how you build a massive brand that you can scale. Because right now, JBiz is still a small shop. The goals for it is to expand huge. But to do that correctly, you can't do that by just expecting that I'm going to open up a new shop and that new shop is just going to have the same appeal with it, same customer base. They're all going to talk about it. It's going to go into universities and people at the university are going to talk about it. No, you have to have strategies in place, design this lead generation strategy for it, and you can replicate it very fast. And when you replicate it fast, now you know that like next $50,000 I spend on a shop, I can convert that to $600,000 in revenue after 2 years. And you just create a strategy based off of that. That's how you grow business. And once again, I feel bad that they don't teach this at business schools and marketing departments because it's where we're at now. This is not where we were at 7 years ago. 7 years ago, this stuff was coming to light. Yeah. Lead generation and marketing automation. I can get into more complicated things that I've done at tech companies, but small businesses don't need to know about that kind of stuff because it's a little too complicated with data. But we're moving this way. And if you're a business and you're not understanding this, or if you want to be a digital marketer, you want to be a marketer, or you want to even be in the finance department or the accounting department or anything, you need to understand where this is going towards. Because the worst thing I always see in businesses is going back into the accountants and the finance guys are going to be like, how much money you need for marketing? We need this much money. No. They just cut you off. Like, your budget is going to be $5,000. It's like, well, I can't do the strategies I want to do. No. Automatic cut off. It's like, what if the upside and the ROI is going to be, X amount? Yeah. No. Cut off. Accountants and finance people out there, don't let the marketers do what they want. Trust me.
Let us have some fun.
But let us have some fun. Let's make a brand known. Let us build out good strategies that can scale a business.
I'm a huge advocate of the old Shark Tank. I watched an episode yesterday as well.
I've been watching so much Shark Tank. Like,
yeah,
it's
so
ridiculous.
much. And no, like you watch these. Oh, I want to chat with you about an episode that I saw. Ridiculous, but okay. So, when they ask the question, how much are you spending on your marketing per month? Notice that never, unless it's a bad business, and then they tell them like, what are you doing? Spend money on marketing. But whenever they say like, oh, we're spending 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month on advertising, they don't bat an eye.
Yep.
They go, no, yeah, that's what you should be spending on marketing. You should spend as much as you possibly can.
Minimum 10% of whatever your revenues are, not profit. Your revenue should be spent on marketing, and up to 30 to 40% if you're a new business. So you got to think about that on that end.
You have to hemorrhage money for a little bit when you're first starting out with the marketing, just because you have to when you are a new player in the market, again, Fashion Nova, when you're a new player in the market, you toss money at it and it works. Believe it or not, people say all the time, like, you need to have this very, it's this double-edged sword, right? On one side, It's you need to have a hyper specific marketing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side, you need to be like, nope, you just need to toss as much money at your idea as you possibly can and hope you get the traction. When I think what people aren't seeing is these are two entirely different approaches.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the same sword at this point. You know, it's like if you're just starting out, toss money at it, but make sure it's a good product. Like, don't
Mm-hmm.
just toss money at something that has no differentiating factor to it,
Yep.
or that isn't really
It's not gonna stand out.
Exactly.
Nobody's gonna want to buy it.
Exactly. Unless you can get like some crazy influencers to back this thing, you're not really going to see much traction. Establish yourself, bring down your marketing budget month by month until you get to that point where you're spending 10% top line on your marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the point where you start getting this funnel that's like this, and you start just making it nice and small. And you make it to the point where it's like you're no longer trying to get these fringe people that are, you're not getting these 2 standard deviation people away
Mm-hmm.
from you anymore. Now you're like, bam, you're hyper
You
focused.
know who your customer is.
You know who they are, and you know who is going to convert and who you should be spending money on. You go to attention, you get the attention, you get them to consider your product, you get them to purchase your product, and then you nurture them with your product.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people go, they bought it, cool, wiping my hands of this customer.
Who's
we're
my
done.
next person?
Exactly. Who's my next sale? When in reality, you have to nurture them. That's the bottom of the funnel.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom of the funnel that not a lot of people care about.
That's where the profit comes from.
Yeah, nurturing them, because that's how you end up with people who are like, okay, you have, what's your, like you say, your average cost for a customer. Let's say your product costs, I don't know, $50.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 20. I think $50 is good, but let's keep it there.
Yep.
And let's say your cost for acquiring a customer is $40.
Mm-hmm.
That might make you go, oh, I don't know is the $10 profit really worth it for me? At the end, you're losing money acquiring that customer the first time,
Mm-hmm.
because your margins there's no way that's going to make sense to you. But if a nurture campaign can make the lifetime value of that customer go from where it costs you $40 for the first purchase to, let's say, 20 for the next purchase, 10 for the next purchase, 5 for the next purchase, and then at some point or other they're just going directly to your website without having to see any ad spend, they're not clicking on anything.
Yep.
They're just going to your site. That's the nurture part of it.
Yep.
If you solely exist on this, I need to get as many sales as I possibly can, there's no retargeting, no nurture, no anything kind of campaigns, then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to just lose money.
You're gonna keep hemorrhaging money.
You're
yeah.
going to keep just blowing through cash, because that margin just can't, it's not sustainable. You cannot sustain it. Sure, there are going to be some people that love it so much they start advocating for your brand, but even if total cost for acquisition goes down to, I don't know, $35 or $30, is that $20 buffer, does that cover your margins?
Yep.
And if it does, I doubt it's going to cover all of it.
Yep.
That's where the nurture campaigns make so much sense, because you can get the cost of a customer down from $40 to sometimes even like $1.
Yep.
And that's where people stop, is they get to the very tip of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel, and they stop. But there's still that little gap of funnel that exists that just goes straight down. That's your nurture. That's how you bring people really into your brand.
Yeah, and the important thing there is, like, for marketing as well, it's annoying for small business sometimes. They expect results in a month. You're not going to get results in a month.
No. You're lucky to get them in 3 months.
Exactly. Most likely your break-even point is between 6 months and a year.
Yeah.
And the realistic approach to that is you have to, once again, build this entire pipeline, get that awareness, get them through this process. It's not fast for customers. But going back into the lifetime value of a customer, that is such an important calculation. And what the lifetime value of a customer is you're calculating out how, on average, how much they're paying, like per month or per year. You can choose that metric. What is your rate of customers dropping off? That's important to know. Because if you have a churn rate is like how many are leaving your business. So let's say your churn rate's 10%. So after every year, you lose 10% of your customers, let's say. Well, you can calculate out, okay, well, that means that 90% of my customers are still going to be there after my year, and they, on average, are my customer for 3 years, let's say that. So now you have a 3-year span. You can just calculate it out on a diminishing return year after year, like what is my final value. And let's say that then you can figure out, like, oh, actually my lifetime value for a customer, like my product itself costs $50, but my lifetime value of a customer is $250. I would feel comfortable spending $100 to get them.
Yep.
If my lifetime value is $250, because now I know that, okay, it's not for all my customers. Most of them, though, 90% of them, I am going to be making good money. And I know I'm going to make $150 on margin. That means all my other expenses, as long as it's underneath, I just made a profit. That's smart business. but it requires these calculations, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. I know we're throwing a lot of like very complicated things now, and this is a little bit more advanced digital marketing stuff. So anybody has any questions or how to explain anything, feel free to throw them in the chat. We're happy to explain them as we kind of just rant and throw stuff at you guys. But I think overall, like this process, I would honestly love to see an area of universities dedicate to just digital marketing, and then like literally make like a 3 to 5 class series, right? And walking people through like this class is all focused on awareness. You're gonna learn how to create these campaigns for just awareness, all these kinds of things. This class is all in consideration. This class is all in web development, SEO, and building this structure out. This is all in email marketing. If they build that structure out, I think more and more students that go through a university education are actually prepared for the real world when it comes to jobs, versus like it's important to understand consumer behavior. It's important to understand a lot of the classes you take as a business student, but this by far connects them all together. If you don't know how to, like, you need to know consumer behavior to do this correctly, like that awareness part and all these things. You need to know pricing strategy to how to make your business and all these things. There's also a lot of, marketing classes that are just kind of like, why am I?
Freebies.
The freebies, and it's a bad thing for universities if you rely on just looking at grades and students saying that they're happy with the class, because they're most likely saying that because it was easy.
And also, they want to make sure that the evaluations
They are high.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At what point, Val, touching on recent events in history here, at what point of the funnel do you filter out white supremacists?
Oh, you have to have. Jeez, man. Damn, that was not slight at all. Well, you should have non-negotiables in your business in the first place, so you should know, like, I will
That's
not
pretty
do.
high on our list, actually. Funny
Yeah.
enough, if there's any white supremacists out there, don't call us.
Yeah, jeez, man. Yeah, that was. Whew. But yeah, no, that's you gotta have non-negotiables in your business. You gotta know who you will not associate with or do business. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because what I was talking about with the social proof, you have negative social proof in that concept.
Could you imagine if we had a testimonial from David Duke on our website?
Oh, I would dissolve the business tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like,
it would be over.
I would start a new business. I couldn't do that, man.
It's you see that Parler, their hosting service is the same hosting service that hosts like a terrorist organization somewhere in the Middle East.
That they got the new one, yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. You talk about testimonials.
Oh,
That's awful.
That's absolutely awful. But yeah, the more social stigma you have behind your brand, it all ties into your company.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about that. You have to think of these lead generation. Jesus, man. I don't even know where to go. I don't even know where to go with that after that. But yeah, I could always throw this into lead generation. But yeah, I mean, as for lead generation, I hope that was educational. You learn how businesses are now creating these pipelines, how they're getting customers, how to actually make digital marketing work, and not just say I'm a digital marketer and I just do this. Like, this is digital marketing. It's a full spiel of things that you have to know how to do. But going to Shark Tank, I'm actually very curious. What was this Shark Tank episode?
Okay, so are you caught up with Shark Tank?
I think I have. Dude, I honestly been watching it like every evening when I'm eating dinner. I watch like at least like a whole.
Have you seen the one with the guy from Ghana who had like the little portable coffee maker where like you put this like biodegradable K-cup inside of
yeah, and you pour the water on top.
You pour the water on top and you put the seal and it looks like a camera lens.
I know what you're talking about, but I didn't see that actual like the pitch of it.
Watch it. Anybody who wants to see what an awful evaluation for a business is, watch that. So they did a Kickstarter and I think they raised like 50 grand. It was a little bit less, but it was 50 grand on Kickstarter is what they raised, right? Mm-hmm. And this thing looks like in like beta. Like it's not stylish. It's not like workable. Well, what's going on here? What are we laughing at? Okay. This thing looks like really rough. Like not polished at all, but it's a Kickstarter product, you know? Yeah. And the dude comes out and he's like, "Sharks, today I have for you this coffee thing. And for a small investment of $1 million for 10% of my business,
10 million valuation.
Yeah, 10 million valuation. You can come and do this." And he says this evaluation before they get to the how much sales they have, and they're like, "We did a Kickstarter," and they're like, "Oh, cool, you did a Kickstarter. How much did you raise?" And he's like, 50 grand. And they're like, "Nice, man, cool. What are your total sales?" And he's like, 50 grand. And they're like, "What the hell?" Like all of them, dude. All of them just turned on him so quick because they loved the guy when he was doing the pitch.
Yeah.
So his partner, I blame it entirely on his partner. The partner he had was okay. So you know that influencer dude who does like videos with his grandma, who
Yeah.
like is, you know what I'm talking about? Where like they went to the bodybuilder thing and she was like hitting on all the
Yeah.
bodybuilders. That grandma, that dude, he's a partner with them. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I blame him entirely for that evaluation because I think that the concept is pretty cool. Like he targeted directly towards, because he did construction. He was doing he was a civil engineer. So he targeted towards people who had to leave the job site like 10 minutes away
Yeah,
to
to
go
get
get coffee and then come back in
back.
that 10 minutes. And he calculated, he was like, that's so much money that's just being lost just in that act. So he's like, I developed this thing that can get plugged into the car's charging port and work that way. Super cool concept if you think about it. But the freaking partner was like, he came out and the guy like tells us, he's like, oh, I was born in Ghana at 17. I finished high school and I came to the United States. I forget which university he went to, but he's like, I went to this university for civil engineer and I did civil engineering. And it's like, cool, that's a cool background story, man. And the other dude's just like, yeah, I got like 45 million followers on social media. Like he gave no background. That was like his big point, right? He's like, I have 45 million followers across all of my social media platforms. I get, what was it? He was like, I get like 100 million plus impressions per day. And then they were like, okay, so why aren't there more sales then? If you get 100 million things per day, like why aren't you doing? He's like, no. Like I put it out there as like interest. I wasn't like selling it yet. I just wanted to see if people were like interested in this thing, you know? And then they were just like, I think they were right about to just call him like an absolute idiot. Because like, and it sucks, but like you have this really cool idea. And I think this cuts into watch out who you partner with. You have this really cool idea that I think would have sold if it, like his fact that he had 50 grand in sales, like you can realistically come in with like a $1 million valuation on that product and for sure you would have gotten a deal closed. $100,000, 10%. You would have probably gotten a deal closed, maybe 25 if they're being all sharky about it, you know? But the fact that this dude came in with $1 million valuation, a $10 million valuation, $1 million loan for 10%, a $10 million valuation is like baffles me, dude. I haven't seen that in a long time in Shark Tank where someone just gets like closed out by every single one of the sharks in like a heartbeat. Like once they heard the valuation and got the sales, they were like, nope, later. Like, peace out.
That is irrelevant. Like you're not going to be able to ever convert that into like if you invest into that, what that means is it's not 10 million in revenue that company has to make. That's 10 million profit on a sale that you get back into your proceeds. So as an investor, yeah, that's absolutely insane. But I think what you brought up is a very interesting point. And actually this ties into our podcast last week with Abdi is it's really weird in this entrepreneur era. Okay. So you have all these people that are trying to pitch their ideas and not going to lie, I'm kind of in the same boat because the tech I'm trying to make is like, I'm not going to be able to sell it before I need investment. People are asking for money and valuations, like ridiculous valuations off the top, without actually getting credit card transactions or like card transactions. And what Abhi said last week, I really respect, which is like, he's just literally like, screw the pitch deck, screw all that. Like what really matters is that you can get somebody to go on your website, you can get them to put in their card information and click on buy and actually give them a tangible thing. That has more legway to investors as well to show like, look, people actually want this. This is not something that they're talking about, but they actually physically want it. And like going back into the Shark Tank story, I think that's the difference. Like what I was talking about, like marketing sales are different, but you still have to eventually merge the two. If you're just saying purely like, oh, I'm going to get impressions and this is how I'm documenting, great, you're a social media company. You're not.
And
you're
the dude's like, here's the thing. Here's what gets me, man. Impressions and clicks
are so different.
So different. It's especially on Facebook. Impressions are meaningless.
Yeah.
They don't. You can do like. Here's the thing.
You can spend so much money to just get a lot of impressions.
Here's the thing. For like a marketing department, you push that number because it looks pretty. You're like, oh, we got 100,000 impressions on our thing. Wow, big number. But what's really important is the click-through rate. Like how many people see that and then follow your CTA, follow your call to action, either through clicking, swiping up, clicking through, whatever, clicking on the link in the bio, whatever it is, you know? So this dude comes out and he's just like, oh, we got 100 million impressions. Like, yeah, of course you do. You have 45 million followers across all of your platforms. I guarantee you that you will get that just kind of naturally, like not really doing anything because you think like, I know all social medias do it where like if you are not following the person, but I'm following the person, and I like that person's thing, now your impression as well, because you see that I liked it, and you see the thing. This is how you kind of get into like one person who follows you ends up getting you like 5 or 6 impressions. So it's not impressive when the dude was like, oh, I get over 100 million impressions per month or per day or whatever the heck he said. It's just, it sucks. It was a cool idea. Yeah, man, we should do a live watch of Shark Tank and just rip them apart.
Oh, I'm 100%
down.
down. We'll just listen to the pitch, pause it, and like we'll say our thing before they have. I'm 100% down for that.
I already do it with Alyssa. Like when we watch Shark Tank, we'll just sit there and be like, what the hell are they doing right now? Or like just really just like go into them.
100%. I think and it's funny too, because like I always like to tie shit back from what we talked about before, but like. Literally, once again, if they had a lead gen system, they had like retargeting metrics and all these things, they could probably convert all those people that have clicked and gone to your website into actual money. If they actually built out a process.
If they convert 1% of those people,
yeah, dude,
which is like nothing, they could do more. But I'm saying like if they can convert 1% of his 100 million impressions, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, you're getting millions of sales, and you're now making actual money that actually make your $10 million valuation look realistic. And even then, it's still ridiculous, but at least somewhat realistic.
Yeah, I don't get it. His ideas were cool though. He had a biodegradable pod that I think was like, damn it, what did he say? 18 days, I think it degrades, or 180 days or something like that. I don't know. It's at some point it goes back into the earth. So cool idea, but the valuation was awful. Watch the episode. It's pretty good.
Well, no, I will. Like I said, I've been watching like crazy, but yeah, overall I think we've had a great discussion going on a minimal tangents this time. I think actually for the most part we stayed on topic, so I think applause to us on that.
Try to dip my toes into the into that one tangent.
Oh yeah, you gotta be. I turned that back real quick. I steered that right back.
If it was a tangent, it was 11 minutes.
No, we're talking about the other his one statement that he wanted to get into.
At one point of the funnel, do you filter out?
I cut that real quick. But I hope y'all appreciated today's show and learned a little bit about lead generation. Once again, you do not have to take a university education. Just listen to our podcast, and you'll learn a lot about how to set up your marketing.
Give us your tuition money.
Oh yeah, exactly. Just nice subs here and there. Like we're not asking for much. $4 a month, versus you're paying your tuition, which is $1,200 for a class. I think it's a pretty nice ROI on education here.
It's a pretty good return, and I mean, if you're a sub, I will go to your house and actually with a chalkboard and teach you. I will do that. I will do that for you.
Disclaimer: he will not. But I mean, yeah. Overall, I hope you enjoyed. I'm happy to share all the knowledge I've gotten from paying ridiculous hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition to get my MBA. So happy to share it out.
You want to say it live? How much?
No, I will not say it live.
What about when the cameras are off? I don't even know.
I will say it off camera. How much money?
Blink. How many hundreds? No. How many tens of thousands you're in debt?
Don't worry about that. But education is important, but actual practical knowledge is way more important. I'll leave it at that. It's been a great show. I hope you have appreciated the show. Definitely, if you have not yet, subscribe to our newsletter on our website, thebrew.tv. Nick, you can do your lovely adding on everything into the chat right now. And I hope you stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be working on getting a couple of guests in the next couple episodes. We have some professors coming in, as well as some other entrepreneurs. But that's it for today. And any closing thoughts for you, Luis?
Rewatch this episode and take some notes. I mean, I think
you can skip past the little pieces here and there, but for the most part,
watch the whole thing. Watch the whole thing. Watch every second. Watch it on that 0.25 speed on YouTube. I think if you are someone who even just has an idea of like, oh, I think I can sell this like one thing pretty
drop
well.
Shipping.
Sure. I didn't want to say drop shipping, but sure, let's say drop shipping. If you're someone who wants to, for some reason, do drop shipping in 2021, then these are really good things to know.
Yep.
Especially the more so than anything, the consideration, the last 3 portions of this year, the consideration, the purchase, and the actual nurture. I think those 3 are critical for success. The first part is really important because that's how you get people in, but you have to be pretty broad.
Yep.
So that's kind of That's
Get
more
creative there. Get
exactly.
creative there.
Get fun. Get
Yeah.
creative. That's why Purple is such a big brand now
Mhm.
because they were really fun and really creative with their campaigns.
Mhm.
Cost them a lot of money. That people don't realize that ad cost them a lot of money to make. The first ad with the egg and falling down on the bed with
But
the
mattress
angel.
is made like 500%, so they don't even care. Conversion sales
I have
afterwards.
a purple mattress. I do. At my
I
house.
actually really want a purple mattress.
Oh
not
my god, dude! Chef's kiss, chef's kiss for Purple mattress. Sponsor our show, Purple. I have the Harmony Pillow Purple. If you're listening to me, I have it all. They spend a lot of money. I think they spend like 5 figures on that.
sure.
On that ad.
I'm sure. I am sure they did.
Now they're a huge brand.
Yep. Overall.
Watch this show. Again, learn how you too can make sales.
See, we're not even doing the pay a free course here, and then you're gonna pay us.
No, why do you need a free course? This is your free course.
This is your
We're
free
doing it
course.
right
Just
now.
come to the brew.tv.
You can
or
tell
what you
I'm
gotta
getting
do.
more passionate by the higher my voice gets.
This whole outro is a tangent.
I know.
I'm ending the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you
for
for
today.
watching.